All right, they should be able to see us and hear us now. We are live again with more Vaesen, Adventures in Lollygagging, Defenders of Cobalt, of Steam, Steel, and Murder, Pludecast, all sorts of wonderful people here. They will plug their wonderful stuff here in a moment. But we are starting a brand new mystery tonight. So if this is your first time hitting the channel, or if you're catching this later on YouTube, this is your first time, it's fine. You can watch this. We'll have a little, a couple storylines here and there with characters, but like the mystery itself is self-contained. And they usually last somewhere between about 2 and 4 eps. And so, yeah, before we kind of get diving into summarizing what's happened and doing some sort of some scenes here and there and starting the new mystery, I want everyone to introduce ourselves. So if you got something to plug it. And who's your character and what do they do? So we'll start with Dan.
Hey, I'm Dan with Defenders of Kobold. I'm playing Rubitega, our sort of scaredy cat officer of sorts. We'll see if he gets over that, maybe. We got lots of cool stuff at Defenders of Kobold. I think we've got a new zine come out here soonish.
Eventually.
And a couple more out there already, so something fun to check out.
Dan, did you get any, you get enough XP to upgrade anything for this, for Rubitega this time around?
I got a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
I probably should have done that.
Okay, you haven't picked anything yet? Okay, come back later. Bert.
Sure, yeah, I'm Bert. I'm the host and primary GM of Steam, Steel, and Murder, a little podcast going over 10 years now. And I'm playing Gunnar Arrowwood, detective extraordinaire. He's got no eyes.
Yeah.
No eyes.
Yeah. And how did you lose those eyes, Bert?
To 2 different encounters with 2 different Vaesen.
Yeah.
As well as his deep-rooted fear of werewolves that happened in his childhood. He's in the right gig, let me tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, how is he looking? Like, how is Gunnar looking? Is he going eye patch?
Gunnar actually he started wearing a silk like kerchief over his eyes because they're so badly. It's not just that he's blind; they're so badly scarred and mangled. So as to not be impolite to company, he wears this silk scarf over his eyes.
I mean, you've got like some kind of like horrible werewolf claw. I can't remember if it was a claw or a bite. And then the Lindworm just bit you right in the head. And you got a big old Lindworm tooth went right through your eye.
Yep. He's taken to learning Braille, and he carries one of those little tapping sticks now. Actually, no, it's a gentleman's walking cane that he employs as a tapping stick.
Very nice. And
I
know
could hook him up with something too, maybe.
Yeah, we're gonna do some kind of interlude scenes, and we'll kind of touch on what Dogmore's been cooking up to help you in your travels, because you're sticking with it. That's one of the things we talked about after last session, is like, let's stick with it. Despite the fact that he's blind, we can keep playing, find things to do, and still be useful. And you upgraded some stuff. You got some XP increases this time around?
Yeah. So to counteract having no eyes, I upped his vigilance, and I picked up a couple of talents. He's now robust. He ignores physical conditions on 1 roll during the game when needed. And what was the other thing? Brave. Yeah. +1 on fear test because meh.
Yeah. I mean, like, what's the worst that can happen? They take another eye, Yeah. So,
yeah.
All right. Chuck.
The third eye.
Yeah, I'm Chuck. I run Defenders of Cobalt. You can come hang out with us on Wednesday as Jeremy runs us some spectaculars. Or you can come check us out on Friday. We're doing something a little sort of a little different. We're doing basic fantasy role-playing again. But this time, Jordan, the PH is silent from YouTube, will be a player with us. So I'll get to kill his characters too. And Anders, he retired last time. He was swept off with a cult to help get rid of Franklin, the bug in his pocket that he spits on.
That's pretty fair. And we'll figure out how to introduce probably Ivan, your new character, which the overlay has already given away, Hven. As we progress through some interlude stuff. But yeah. Melissa.
Yes, I'm Melissa with Adventures in Lollygagging. So we play here every other Monday. And then we also have twitch.tv/lollygaggers where we play Alien on the opposite Mondays. And then on the weekends, we play things like Mutant Year Zero, or some other games that we alternate between. I play Sigrid. She is a priest. I would say she's not necessarily like the most devout of individuals. She was in a gang in her early life, and kind of got the sight and is now, of more religious leanings, but not particularly so. She had been looking forward to kind of bringing Anders into that fold and kind of teaching him some of the ways, and he found a different way to address his situation. So,
Found a shortcut.
yep, that's disappointing.
Supposedly.
Supposedly, yeah, we don't know.
Yes, we'll see.
It was a random German tourist that you happened to have met one time because you kept the seat warm for him on the toilet. And you're like, you know
Toilet
what?
seat warming tourist.
I remember that. So yeah, let me go off with you in the middle of nothing possibly could go wrong. All right. And did you do any upgrades for Sigrid this time around?
I did a boring upgrade to get a little bit of agility. So that's what I did.
Agility's pretty useful, like dodging and stuff like that. Is most important. Fleeing scene, which is good. All right, let's go over to Jeremy.
Hi, I'm Jeremy. I'm lucky enough to play games with these fine people all the time. I also do the Plewdcast, where we talk about comics, PLEWD. I'll be playing the high-functioning coward, Caius. He's a novelist who can do automatic writing to kind of get some insights into strange things. And shockingly enough, turned out to be a really good marksman. Only when he closes his eyes and cringes in fear, though.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, I feel like Gunnar's probably going to take over now as the best marksman because he actually doesn't have eyes. It's not just closing.
True.
Be an expert.
Gone.
And his name is Gunnar.
Guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe everyone just starts carving them out. And did Caius take any upgrades this time around?
I took safety in numbers.
What does that do?
That's the one where you get +2 to fear checks if you're with 2 or more other PCs.
Okay.
So now he's both brave and has safety numbers, but I don't like to think that he's so much actually a brave person. I really do think he's just a high functioning coward.
Okay.
He's going to die of a heart attack by the time he's like 35.
Yeah, that's because he's like 21, 22, something like that, right?
Yeah, he's pretty young.
Yeah, he's not going to make it. I mean, 35 is pretty optimistic, I think.
It's true. Something else to get him
25,
before then. But if he makes it till then.
22 and a half. Tuesday,
That's
something
his,
like that.
That's his upper limit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and finally, Joe.
I'm Joe with the Defenders of Kobold, and I am playing Bensly Dunselbod, the servant, who almost died on my first night playing him again. But, he's yet to really do much because of that.
Yeah.
So I'm still figuring him out.
Yeah, servant. Yeah. What is he good at? Like, what are his in terms of?
Um, He's supposed to be good at combat.
Okay.
But
Okay.
he, yeah, I picked up some medicine because the previous doctor is no longer with us.
Sure.
And he's mainly good at like physique type stuff. He's got a lot of points in close combat and force.
Yeah.
So
It's a combat butler.
yeah, he's a very rough around the edges, rugged butler.
He's
type.
like the Gotham Alfred Pennyworth, like ex pugilist or something. What was I gonna say? Oh, like one of the things I would say is don't be too hard on Bensly. Like he did actually come into the game to face a Lindworm, which is one of the more difficult combat Vaesen there is. Like there's other Vaesen that are really tricky for different reasons, but in terms of just like pure combat, like Lindworm's is up there. There's no slouch.
And he stuck around.
Yeah, and he lived. He did way better than that doctor did. He actually survived the encounter. So
yeah.
And did you get XP last time and take something new?
I got 5 experience, and I haven't decided on which of the. I'm like back and forth between 2 talents that I want to take.
Well, okay. Let's kind of get started then. Your last mystery took place late summer, early autumn. So it was like late, like August, like early August, if you want to think about it in those terms. And you you headed out to kind of a middle of the nowhere town in Jampland called Tanis, and there you all went up against a Lindworm, lost one of your own, made some new contacts, and you eventually worked your way back, but with scars and with people missing, because not only did one of your crew die, but the other had to leave. They were as Chuck was saying, Anders had this spurtus that was just infecting his brain, and with the promise of fixing that, Anders went off with this group that keeps coming up every now and then. You keep running into them. You keep kind of bumping horns with them a little bit here and there. But what's going to happen is we're going to have probably about a month and a half. It's going to be like late September. So you're going to have about a month and a half before the next major mystery. Likely there's little things that pop up, some research, some construction. Likely the butler Algot Frisk has managed to put some work into some workmen together to excavate or to renovate certain aspects of your castle. What were the final locations that you decided the facilities decided to build?
The seance parlor.
Okay.
And the pigeon loft.
Okay. All right. And specifically, I think it was Gunner's idea to build the seance parlor up on the 3rd floor of the castle, basically right in the room where there's a man by the name of Erling Valen, whose ghost still roams the halls of Castle Gillenkrutz, kind of an old bookworm, kind of a fraidy cat who, fairly young in his ghost form, so he probably died at a fairly young age, and the details surrounding that he's kind of kept to himself somewhat, but was a contemporary of the woman who Linnea Ethelclint, who gave you all the keys and the deed to this place. But yeah, you've put together a nice little room filled with kind of some scented candles, some pillows to sit upon, and some various other occult items that you've collected from your travels and just from going about your business in the castle itself. So during the month and a half, a lot of things have started to transpire in terms of building up the castle and everything. There's a lot of other business that has happened. First of all, there was a funeral for Jurgen Line Balderson. In the back of the grounds of Castle Gillenkrutz, there is a small hill with a cemetery that has a lot of crooked gravestones that over the past several months, Algot has seen to straighten and correct. And now there is an 8th gravestone, as we see Jurgen's is placed upon that. Several people show up probably for the funeral, I would say, here and there. Maybe some people from some colleagues from work that have not lost full respect of Jurgen yet. But the newspapers haven't been kind to you over the next month or so, as there starts to be a rumor mill that begins to function. A lot of this is tied back specifically to Anders and Jurgen for a variety of different reasons. But there's in the day in which Jurgen's death is announced, like the local newspaper has like a headline that says like "Local doctor dies on holiday," and it has this kind of long expose about Dr. Line Balderson, who reportedly kind of fled Uppsala to go on vacation, because that was sort of like used almost with quotation marks there. But it was more to kind of get away from like a malpractice investigation, and there was questions of whether he'd be returned. The hospital staff is kind of mum on whether or not he was going to be dismissed. So there's a lot of like these vague references, but it looks as though that your death is kind of met with a little bit of humor, as you've become a little bit of a punchline, as like doctor goes on holiday to relieve stress, dies. And so there's apparently some sort of journalist that's really starting to needle you a bit. Is Dr. Jurgen Line Balderson survived by anyone, like family or anything like that?
I picture him having like some nephew that he barely knows. It's like the only family member that he remembers. Okay. And he just like scribbled a will out to them at some point. He's like, it's got to go to somebody.
And you had a decent amount of money, I thought. I thought like Jurgen had a decent resource score.
He was pretty well off.
Yeah.
He had like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
He's up there. I think he had like 6 resource and 5 capital. So he's...
Yeah. So... I would say, yeah, you probably all get to meet briefly the nephew who kind of shows up unassumingly, like at this funeral, like is very
I'm sure no one
confused.
would have any idea who
Yeah,
he is, and he knows who no one is as
very
well.
confused about my uncle lived in a castle, and like he's looking around at these weird occult items as he's walking through the castle itself. It's a very awkward time. He doesn't really know Jurgen that well. He's just sort of there to pay his respects and hear the reading of the will. And but eventually, like, that kind of dies down. The journal doesn't really pick up too much on Jurgen, and Jurgen is really a punching bag for about 48 hours. However, Anders, his disappearance does not go unnoticed, not just by the various newspapers that function with Uppsala, but also the police station. As there's like articles that show up, things like disgraced history professor disappears, and it like kind of details all of the allegations against Anders, from setting up, like it's not so much setting up grad students for death, but it's more of abandoning students to die against a bear. And apparently there's stories about how a local cop and a local man died while on the grounds of the Castle Gillenkritz that Anders was part owner of. And that begins to dip into a lot of these stories about like occultism on the castle. And so there's kind of this frenzy that's starting to pick up again now that the castle is more active once more. And you can see people who have been around for years and decades are starting to think back to the fire that happened here and all the negativity that was surrounding this place. And over the course of several weeks, there's a bunch of like reporters and cops that show up looking for Anders. Some of them are serving search warrants, going through his things, trying to figure out where his whereabouts are. And none of you really know, so there's no real lying that's necessary. And this puts a little bit of a strain on one of your police contacts. You have a kind of Constable Volmer who you've known for a very long time at this point, but yeah, he's doing his best. But there's all these wild theories that are being thrown around about what you do here: devil worship, like Satan worshippers, stuff like that. This is kind of inflamed as well, as over the course of the next month and a half, Sigrid, your contacts at the cathedral within Uppsala are beginning to shy away from you too, as a new bishop is appointed here by the name of Eric Dahlgren, who seems to be a little bit more conservative, a little bit more straight-lined, and although people are defending you, they look at you with somewhat askant eyes, like how can we let her within our house when she stays and spends so much time within the house of Satan? And so there's a lot of kind of friction that you're getting as well. Your friend Olaf Cavalius, who you met while on your trip to Tanis, he has actually, strangely enough, taken over a temporary teaching position at the University of Uppsala in the history department, which has come open because of the disappearance of Anders. And in doing so, he started to write a book about his experiences. It's like a fantasy fiction novel, and every week, Caius, like, he kind of comes over and he calls you to his office, which used to be Anders's office on campus, and reads you a bit of the story that he's written. It's not great. The prose is fine, but the story is very cliche. It's not. The characters are kind of flat. The central character is very much like hero worship. Everyone, all the women love him, all the men want to be him, that kind of thing. And you get to, for sure, it's like an authorial stand-in character. But this has also allowed Bensly to spend a decent amount of time with you all and become a little bit more acquainted with you from time to time, and probably share the notion that you have the site. Hildegard, your troll friend, didn't come along, unfortunately. In the case of Gunnar, it's been a rough month. A lot of bruised shins, some patchy shaving. But fortunately, Dogmore has been there to train some of these hunting dogs that you all have collected over the course of the almost a year now that you've been together, and has been retraining one of those to serve as something as a seeing eye dog for you, a service animal. And I'll let you go ahead and name the dog whatever you like, but you can go ahead and put that as a permanent fixture in your inventory. Just put a pet dog in there, and that's fine. And I still think what we'll say is any Any check that absolutely requires sight, we'll say is a fail.
Let's feel it.
But if it's a check where like you can justify how one of the other senses might replace it, then we're probably okay. Or we might play it. We'll play them all kind of by ear, so to speak, and see how it goes.
Bosworth, my
Take it,
trusty
Steve.
hound.
I like it. And then as the newspapers are turning on the castle, like you guys are getting really bad press, bad publicity for a while. A lot of this is driven by Anders and Jurgen, but has extended even further as now like these little details come back. The incident on Halloween night kind of comes back, but this isn't all bad. This attention about like the occult connections, as likely it has drawn the attention of others similar to you, who might have the sight. And I say, Chuck, maybe your character Hven kind of picks up on some of these. How would you say Hven makes his introduction to the crew at the castle?
Well, he would hear about it like anything else through the papers. And so, well, crap. Like if they're doing cool occult stuff there, I can at least, mosey on over, introduce myself, play nice, steal all their information.
Devil worshippers, those are my kind of people.
That's my kind of
Get
people
down
right
with that.
there. Yeah. So that would be, the starting point. I would probably just show up one day, very much big bravado. Like, I've heard you've got evil spirits here. Let me show you the ways of the seance, and I shall help you dispel or master them.
And Sigrid is at first going to wonder if this was like a plant from the bishop, and so she is initially going to go with a very
No, thanks.
by
we're
the
fine.
books kind of denial of any type of that kind of activity happening here. And then we'll kind of just name drop the bishop just to see if there's any kind of recognition that maybe.
Oh, you would name drop the bishop, and I'm like, I don't know who that is. Is that a restaurant in town? Like, I am a bit hungry.
Can I check to see if I believe that he doesn't really know who the bishop is?
Sure. Go ahead. Roll observation.
All right.
It's fine.
See if we get off on the right foot or not.
There you go.
No successes.
God. I mean, you could push it if you like, but if you do, we'll say you'll start the mystery down a condition if you wanted to push
No thanks.
I mean,
it. Okay.
you could also roll it as you're not aware that you failed this observation. You
Yeah.
just believe him.
Yeah.
Can do that too. Okay.
All
We
right.
don't
I
start
mean,
off
if he
on the
is
wrong foot
hungry,
then.
we could maybe cook him a bite to eat. I suppose there's no harm in that, at least.
What does Hven look like?
He's 30s, 40s maybe. He's very well dressed, but in a like I got well dressed from like a ye old Hot Topic or something like that. So like a nice tailored suit, but the suit jacket's got like the occult symbols and everything all over it. He's got that peaky blinder haircut that's like all slicked back with
Okay.
this big curly greased
Oh
mustache.
God, he's like a cruise ship magician or something.
He
Oh,
is,
this
yeah,
great.
yeah.
Back of his pants say juicy.
It's a very particular breed of magician.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
fantastic. So we'll say that over the course of the month or so, maybe he ingratiates himself. I don't know. I mean, it's up to you all whether you invite him to stay on the castle grounds immediately or if you need to see him in action first. But we'll say that you become acquainted, and especially since you're starting to dabble in the dark arts a little bit more with your seance parlor, it might behoove you to tap into somebody who has at least he claims to have some sort of connection to them.
Tell me, how does this do over there?
Yes, let me consult my crystal ball.
Do you actually
It
have a crystal ball?
I do.
Nice.
I do.
I see why I'm
Yeah.
gonna just point at some inane object that has nothing to do with anything at all. Just like
Oh,
a
look at
rock
it.
that's
It
out
is
of place.
this rock. It has a great history. At one point, it was a larger rock.
My God.
You're welcome.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. How did he know this? And then Caius, I guess last question, and then we'll
Mhm.
kind of get into this. It's been a month and a half. Do you spend some time at home?
Yes, I was actually going to say, like, I think the main things I would hope to do is to spend a good chunk of time back home and probably continue my donations towards the local mental health facility because recent events have really driven home the importance of helping people out because I'm going to end up there.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus, you have a former like housekeeper that
Yeah.
is interned there. Interned's not the right word, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So your kid is like over half a year old at this point. It's pushing like 9 months or so. And
Who is this strange man coming into my house?
how? Oh gosh, how? So as a half Vaesen, like there's gonna be aspects of this child that's going to be able to be able to do things that just normal humans aren't necessarily able to do, or certain aspects of their appearance that might manifest. So how is that manifesting in a 9-year-old half Vaesen, half Caius child?
I would love it if he had like he's like from a woodland spirit. So I feel like he's kind of coming from like good salt to the earth strength, and Caius is such a meek little thing. I think it would be funny if his child is already as strong as he is.
Okay, I like it. Oh my goodness. So you walk in one day and you see him already kind of like lifting up, like a log or something, and just like handing it over.
No, 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 no.
And your wife's like, he's been doing this since he was 3 months. You would know if you were here, and but it's good to see you, and it's it's an interesting time home, but like the times home are always kind of punctuated by the fact that you then leave at a certain point. But more than once, you probably suffer a little bit of a bruise or a smart as maybe the child like squeezes a hand a little bit too hard and you have to like grimace or something. But yeah, okay.
Sigrid also wants to, during our downtime, since we have a pigeon loft now,
Sure.
Sigrid wants to work with Dogmore on two things. Number one, training the pigeons to be homing pigeons, and two, teaching the dogs not to eat the pigeons.
Okay.
So
Good
they both seem
combo.
like important things to do.
Maybe in the other order even.
I still have Dogmore's character sheet, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna roll it. Oh God, why does Dogmore have all of the conditions?
I don't think I ever cleared them
Luckily,
when
yeah, it's all
when
good.
we finished that session.
So I'm gonna have him do just a little manipulation test just to see how well he does at training these animals. And you lose a pigeon or two in the process, but it doesn't take long for the
I thought that
dogs
might happen.
and the pigeons to kind of get along. And they're in separate places. The pigeon loft is a little bit higher up in the castle, whereas the kennel is off to the side, like it's an annex building. So they won't really interact too often. But occasionally, a homing pigeon gets a little bit greedy and tries to swoop down and buzz the tower, and that's not always good. Okay.
Good deal.
Does anyone have any other downtime things that they were looking to do in the month and a half?
We picked up an occult item of some sort.
That is
I don't
true.
think we've discussed what that is yet.
So you start investigating and looking at this thing. It's a powdered stag horn. It should be available to you. Let me see if they check permissions.
I have some of that too.
So an items of power. Oh, you did? You got a stag horn?
Yeah, at
no kidding.
character creation. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, it's actually in here. Like you can pick it up if you want. There's an
right.
actual item for it. If you look in the let me check permissions.
I got it. Yep, it's there.
Yeah. So what this basically allows you to do is and this is probably through experimentation over the course of a month and a half or so, as you kind of experiment with it from time to time. But it allows you to resist the temptations of Vaesen. There's many Vaesen are physically strong, like Linverm, but there's others that tap into various magical abilities and some more innate abilities that allow, like, to enthrall people or manipulate people in some way. But you can use observation to do this. There is a risk whenever you use items of power where stuff can go wrong. So just keep that in mind. So if you were to fail, for instance, at using the staghorn, you're gonna suffer a mental condition and get kind of depressed for a bit. And need to get healed up. But that's what you found, the powdered stag horn. You also found I think you found a book or two as well, but that might be in the past. So you make sure that you're going through the library, but with Anders not around, somebody else has to sort of take over stewardship of that library now.
Oh no. I think Gunner. No, Gunner should do it. He knows where every book is by touch,
So
just by touching the spines.
after
Who doesn't understand alphabetation? This is
you're arguing over, do we alphabetize it or do we organize it by subtopic? Do we just kind of is this Library of Congress or is this Dewey Decimal? Like, what are we doing?
it is now organized by texture.
Down the Dewey Decimal.
Texture.
Texture.
All right. So after about a month, it's late September, and we'll say, for the sake of ease, all of you are here, and maybe you're coming down from the seance. It's evening time. The days are getting shorter and shorter. It's there's not as much full light in a given day, and so it's definitely dusk. Just a hint of light that's left. It's kind of a gray, outdoors, overcast day, and maybe Hven is here for dinner. Bensly as well. But your guard, your hardworking guard, Paul Rodskjorta, comes stumbling in through the back door of the castle through the kitchen, and you can see that he's kind of got this busted nose and this blood coming down his face, and he's just calling out for him. But I got Caius. Got anybody? Hello.
No.
Oh God, what happened to you?
Misunderstanding. There's a little fella out by the dock. He says he knows you guys, and he's got some big fellas with him. And I'll tell them to shove off and such, but the little one didn't want to hear any of it, and so, well, one of the big ones just socked me gut. But don't worry, they're still on the docks. But
Release the hounds.
right, they got kind of close, but they're just kind of looking and barking, and then the little guy did something, and then all the dogs just kind of laid down on the ground. He's a weird looking one. I don't know, just looks like just sitting there. He's
Do not worry, new friends. I am great with weird looking people. That's how I found all of you. Let's go talk to them.
We should definitely find Rubitega too.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll stumble down eventually.
So, as you stumble down, you head out to the
I'll probably
docks.
bring my stuff with me.
You can see that there's like that looks like there's a little lamppost there that the docks have been somewhat repaired a bit. They're not particularly big, but they're enough that a small ship, small boat, canal boat going up and down the Fire River could easily dock. And you can see that there's a decently sized ship. Probably would fit maybe 10 people or so. And you can see that there are indeed a couple men that are standing on the docks, fairly big, burly. You can see there are more people, men and women, on the boat itself. And all of you see sitting on a railing on the dock itself, right where the boat is. You can see a very wonderfully dressed man that some of you are familiar with. I would say everybody, but I guess Hven, Rubitega, and Bensly would not know this. But the rest of you, you see this man.
Yes.
Sitting on the railing of this ship, smoking this long pipe, and I'll say, just for the sake of things, this is not what Paul Rodskjorta sees. Paul Rodskjorta just sees a very short-looking man, but you all see a ship gnome with a very large hat, big, giant nose, curled and kind of red, kind of got this graying skin to it. He's dressed with a beautiful blue coat and like this tied-up little tie, and buckles all over the place. And he seems to be barking orders, and the people back on the ship are sweeping and kind of cleaning up a bit, but the others just seem to flank him. And when you all come down, he looks over at you all and he just says, "Okay, good to see you again, friends. I've heard that you've gotten the castle all, ship shape, so to speak." And he chuckles at his own joke.
Well, as well as we could without one of your kind here to keep us in line the way we should be.
Oh, I like it. You're already starting with the flattery. That's good. That's a good thing to do. It's a way to make social encounters easier. Who are these new people? I don't know you, and I don't know you, and I don't know you.
Ah, friend here. I am Hven, the great conjurer and magician.
Magician,
And I do not believe I've ever met one of your kind before.
No, don't think you would. You'd remember. Conjurer, eh? Conjure me up something. Go ahead, let's say it.
I shall conjure you up good news. You are amongst friends.
Right. Okay. Right. Okay. So, that's a no then on the conjuration. Got it. Check. Okay, and how about these two?
Rubitega, I'm mostly just here to provide some firepower.
Right, where's the old one? You know? Look like a
No,
whooping corpse.
Yeah, he's still around.
Okay.
Got lots of dogs now, and he keeps them in line.
He ran off with a lady half his age, merely 60.
Good for him. That's good. That's a proper retirement package right there. That's good. All right. So, are these trustworthy? This one, the quiet one. Everyone okay?
I'm the most.
Listen.
You're not the quiet one.
Yeah. Does he still have the necklace?
He's asking
He does
them.
indeed.
I know.
He does indeed. You can see that he kind
I
of
know,
fiddles
I'm
with it
just
every now and then. It's like
Mm.
he's got like this red tie around his throat that kind of covers his chest a little bit. He's got these big old collar, but every now and then you can see like just underneath, like resting against his skin, you can see the necklace is still there. Yep. But he says, "Well, I can't just say this is just a social call, but I have need of your services. If you're not too busy, it is."
No, we've actually been taking some negative press here with some of our group members that aren't here anymore, so a diversion might be helpful.
Okay. All right. And for those of you
Bad.
who might not remember, by the way, his name is Old Bicker. Yeah. Go ahead, Gunnar.
Bad news is often taken better with good wine. Let's retire to the kitchen.
Right. I agree with you on the first part, but I prefer here. You know, I don't like to leave the ship a couple feet,
So the
maybe
galley.
a dock. If you want to bring out, we can have ourselves a little picnic on the dock, or you can just come on the ship. That's fine too.
Sounds good.
Okay.
I'll hobble away with my cane and find some good bottles.
And he'll like lean over to like Caius, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but he had eyes last time I talked to him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably even had both of them.
So I've been told.
It's been a rough year.
Here's it. Well, it's a shame. It's a shame. Hey, where's
I
the
think
other
you should get 2 glass eyes. I think that'd be
Oh
great.
God. So
one? Where's
creepy.
the one with the pipe? Oh, I like that one. He had a pipe. I got a pipe. Made us friends.
He also had a rough go of it. He's retired too. He met another man that liked. Actually, I wouldn't know about the seat warmer.
But we do know about the little his Franklin.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he ran into some terrible business with a. He called it a Franklin. It was a little bug in his pocket. He had to spit on it, and just it was really unfortunate and really awkward to talk about.
Spurious. Those things are bad business. That's right. I've
He
tried
found some people that offered to help him.
Oh, really? Not much help in that. A couple things you can do, but he found gold or something, I suppose.
Well, I was going to try to help him with that, but he found some other people who offered him a quicker resolution, and he took that.
Oh, gonna sacrifice folks. Okay, yeah, that's another way to go about it. That's fine.
Oh.
Oh, huh?
Oh.
No.
Oh, yeah, I can't remember. 11, 12 folks, something like that. It's fine. It's
I mean, it's. I
Happens
mean,
all
I
the
know.
time.
yeah. Listen, if you're going to get upset about a few sacrifices, I think you're in the wrong business. This is just kind of what happens, you know?
I don't sacrifice anybody.
Oh, I don't know. Get back to work, you fool! And he just kind of starts shouting and berating the people behind who, like, have slowly started to slouch and kind of lean against the walls a bit.
So Sigurd's going to be a little distressed by that and then go see if she can help Gunnar and kind of saying some prayers along the way that this is distressing.
Well,
Yeah.
When you wander in, I'll have a couple of bottles in my hand and I say, well, either this is an excellent Chianti or vinegar. I'm not sure which.
The former. Excellent.
so you hustle on back, and there's still a little chit-chatting, and you break some bread, and you can see that he doesn't let the crew have any of it. It's just him. Like, he's eating and drinking and stuff, and he says, okay, so you've all seemed to be, you know, proper organised now. You seem you've got this place and such. I would like to hire you for a task, if that would be something of interest to you. I
Think so.
not sure about its level of danger, to be honest. But what I can pay, you know.
You, my friend, have said the magic words. We are in.
Okay, I've misjudged this one. He seems to be far better than first impression seemed to suggest.
I am fantastic in every way. It just takes a little while for you to see it.
Okay, maybe my first instinct was correct. Going back and forth.
Somewhere in the middle.
Maybe. So, me brother, Squabble, he and I, we orchestrate a bit of trade, mercantile, ship and such. Details don't matter. But if you are to help me and him with this task, we can reward you with certain intriguing items. Those that possess certain magical ambiances, or we've got tomes galore, all sorts of occult witchcraft and such in them. We'd be glad to, I'd be glad to lend that over to you, on success, of course. If you prefer basic human economics, that can be arranged as well.
I am quite intrigued by your
Sounds promising.
items of power and your occult tomes.
Right. So, me brother, aforementioned Squabble, he has, he's gone a bit missing, shall we say. He and I, we sprouted from the same tree, same mast. We're like twins, he and I. We look mostly the same. I'm more attractive, but, you know, that's fine. Not everyone can have this visage. And, separate ships, but every so often we like to make sure the ships find the same port. And, he and I, we, recently caught wind of, of a story about a particular island in the Orland Strait, or Sun Strait, excuse me, by the name of Hven. Anyone been there before? Near Copenhagen? No? Y'all
Don't
not
think so.
worldly enough yet. It's not that far away. Near Hugonis, Mola, such. And at the
Can I do a roll? To see if
sure.
that's-
Yeah, do a learning test.
I mean, you've been with Olaf. Maybe he's been there.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. You said learning.
Yeah, do a learning test.
2 successes.
Yeah. Whether or not you might have been there, you might not have. It's up to you. You can decide that, but you'd certainly know about it. You know that it's kind of sort of right between. It's on the Orland Strait, so it's like Danes, Swedish, kind of like a. There's some disagreement or there's changing of hands and such, but it's right there. in the strait itself, and it's pretty well known because it was the site of where totally forgot what I was going to say, where Tycho Brahe set up some observatories a couple hundred years ago, and it was kind of a famed astronomer, and lived there for a little while, ruled the island for a little bit, and that's kind of the reason it probably has the most resonance with you in your memory. Those observatories are no longer, like, they're kind of in ruins at this point. It's been a couple hundred years, but people still live there. It's a very small island. It's a couple miles across, but other than that, there's really nothing too historically relevant to you. But he says, so we've got, we like to keep our ears out and listening whenever we're traveling in and out of ports and such. For we're collectors, like, and he kind of holds out the necklace that you all got him. Little places like this, sometimes it's easy to track them down and such. Well, we've got wind that something might be nestled within one of them observatories at the ruins. Something that might help with the stars, And you'd imagine somebody who's on the ship as much as Squabble and I are, that having something that allows you to connect with the stars and bit would be very useful. And so he was going to head there. Obviously, his captain decides the routes and such. But he, not only did he miss our rendezvous, but I don't feel him anymore. Any of y'all twins? No?
No.
No, okay. Well, we'll put it this way. He and I got a connection, I know when he's scared, I know when he's in danger, something like that. He's same with me. And, and it's usually just in the back of the head, and you don't really have to pay attention to it too much, but then every so often it just gets really loud and such. Well, it's the opposite's happened, and I can't hear anything. It's just not there at all. And it's got me a bit worried. And,
Seems fair.
And I would like you all, if you could, to go investigate and see if you can find him. And while you're at it, maybe grab that there item. And, that's the job.
Sure.
Seems
Of
doable.
course.
Okay.
You're definitely.
So was
like,
this
to
island
help
the
you.
last place that he was known to be?
Yes,
Or-
that's right. Well, his ship, the Marigold, is out of Landskrona. So, we asked around, and no one's seen it. They left and hasn't returned. It's called the Marigold. But yeah, no one's seen it again. And it's a bit peculiar. It's possible, It's unlikely. It's the big. If it wasn't for the mutant in the back of my head, I would think nothing of it. He might be somewhere else here, there. But the fact that he's just not there has me a bit worried. And I don't get worried very often.
Have been any other rumors of ships disappearing around this island, or?
Not that I'm aware of. Now, I figure with all your books and whatnot, you might be able to find something. But no, nothing in particular. Little list, little of that, but nothing concerning.
Absolutely. We're terribly sorry to hear about this. And if there's anything we can do to find Squabble or find out what's happened, of course.
Oh, I appreciate that. And again, I will compensate you all for your time.
Where was he? Where was the last port that he made that you are aware of?
Landskrona. Yes.
Landskrona.
And if I've already made arrangements presumptuously with a contact there. You can ask around the docks for Matthias Rude. He'll go ahead and bring you all out to the island.
Okay.
You have to take a train or something to get down there, but at least the last bit of the journey I've gotten taken care of, pulled in a favour. And when I spoke with him last, he was keeping an eye out, of course. He's like us, or like you, I should say.
Very well. Very well.
Do you have any idea if he was carrying passengers and or cargo on his last run?
Not passengers, cargo. I'm not sure what they had, but they operate in the area quite frequently. But passengers, no. And crew is maybe a dozen. So we
Should we? Yeah. Okay.
I was going to say, like, we just keep the ships in tip-top shape, you know? We don't dictate where and what jobs we pick up. We just make sure the masts are put together properly, the sails are stitched, and the crew is working hard.
Had he mentioned anything that sticks out to you before he left? Maybe someone in his crew acting weird?
Yeah.
A weird job or something?
I mean, they're slouching around like these people. Yeah, I'll see ya. And he just starts screaming again. He just can't find good help, is what he is. Just a bunch of lazy, good for nothings like that. But, no, he likes his crew.
If we should find your brother, is there something we could say that might help identify us?
Oh,
to him?
that's what this is for. And he kind of digs into his coat. And you see him pull out this like old coin, like this like bronze coin that he plops down to Rubatega's hand. It's got like some kind of archaic stamp on it and everything. Just go ahead and show him that. Tell him it's from me. He'll know.
Okay, can do.
Yeah, don't worry, nothing to it. It's just a little keepsake. That's all it is.
Just figure it might be easier to, earn his trust quickly.
Oh, of course, makes perfect sense. This one's a pretty good phone, guys. Secret Gunner. This one right here. Sorry, Gunner. I'm talking about the one with the rifle. That one. I didn't mean to be disrespectful. But yeah. So we've got a job. We got to run up the Sun's Hall. We'll be back a couple of weeks' time. I'll touch back with you. And we'll give you what I owe, and hopefully you've got some good news for me.
We certainly hope that we're able to bring back your brother, not just some news, next time we see you.
Well, I hope so too. So I thank you for taking it. You're all seeming like decent people. Much more decent than these people who can't sweep a dick. Look at it. There's leaves on it. What's wrong with you? God, ridiculous.
You even get leaves on a ship in the ocean.
It's because there's a tree overhanging. Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want with Bicker?
Good.
Okay. Just remember, look from like it's me, but uglier.
Did we get the name of the ship?
The name is the Marigold.
The Marigold.
Okay, Marigold.
Okay. Well, we got a shovel. Thank you for the refreshment and for the conversation. Try
Wouldn't
not to
happen to know
lose.
the name of anyone on the ship, would you?
What's
anyone
that?
in his crew? Wouldn't happen to know the name of
his
anyone in his crew?
He knows the captain.
On the Marigolds?
Yeah, the captain's name is Hven. He doesn't remember the last name. So Hven, tall woman, big
Okay.
blonde hair.
Okay.
So, if there's nothing else, bid you all adieu. And
It's great to see you. Safe travels.
Safe travels.
Pleasure to meet you.
as well. To you as well. Okay, goodbye. All right, you lazy good for nothings. Put your backs into it. I want to see. No, and he just starts shouting orders, and they start rowing and pulling away from the docks at that point.
I wish I knew how to yell at people like that.
We prefer you that you don't yell at people like that, Caius. It's all right.
I don't think it would work well if I tried.
No, I don't think it would.
Perhaps not.
Okay, so we're in prep phase then. So research and shopping basically is what you're after. The last bit of your journey is paid for and taken care of, but you'll need to grab some train tickets. It's a fairly long journey, and it's also one that you've taken somewhat before as you traveled down to Mola almost a year ago. And this is in the same neck of the woods where you're going. You might even pass through Huganis again, which you've passed through before once on your travels to Mola. So it's a easy enough passage to book. It's not complicated at all. But other than that, it's research and shopping. So you all tell me what you want to do.
First, let's go have a seance.
How do we determine how much capital we have? I forgot how.
It should be a starting stat for you.
Okay.
Yeah, it should have been during character creation. You could have gotten a starting stat. Okay.
May go ahead and roll my resource die at least. That way I
Yeah,
know
we
how
can
much-
do that, and then let's go ahead and roll the resource die so we know how much we're working with, and then we can do the seance, and whoever's involved in the seance scene can have the fun with the seance scene. Whoever's not can start shopping. So check your resource score and roll that many d6s, or just click on the resource button, and we'll get the totals.
Oh, I didn't realize you could click on that.
Yeah, I didn't realize either until I saw Chuck do it.
Good news is I have a nice flat number to add to that.
Hunter spent all of his resources these last few months on Braille books.
It's a whole separate library of just Braille.
Yes.
Okay, this isn't looking good.
It is not.
I see one so far. Who are we missing? Joe? I
We've
think you're
got-
the only one, right?
Two resources, I think.
Yeah, two so
Oh,
far.
is that one for Dan? Yeah.
And then, depending upon what your score is, you might have just a base capital
Right.
outside of what you
Yeah.
roll.
Got,
That's what I was trying to find.
I don't
There you
have
go.
my starting capital in.
Ah, there we go.
So you got a
I have
starting
no
of 4, and then you all have capital. So whoever doesn't want to be part of the seance scene can go ahead and pop over to the shopping tab and take a look at what you all want to collect. You have 4 to work with, and whatever capital you want to burn. Sure, you all have plenty of capital.
I'll
I want to
Yeah.
be part of the seance.
Yeah,
I do
think I've ever,
too.
I don't think
Yeah.
I've ever been in one of these seances. so-
I will show you the ways.
I thought you were about to start quoting Little Mermaid.
I thought about
Oh,
it. It
no.
came out, and I'm like, just do I go with it? Like, no.
But first, for the proper mood, I'll need $50 from each of you.
Yeah.
It's like that one South Park episode. Let's do a suance. Let's just sue our neighbors. Oh, goodness. Okay. So is anybody not gonna participate in the seance?
I should. I mean, Caius doesn't really know what to shop for, even though he's the one with all the money. He normally just gives money to other people and lets them buy things.
I feel like Bensly would probably go shop and start picking up equipment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can donate 13 towards it.
All right. So we can say
That's my main role in the party. Really, is to be terrified and to give money to other
you
people.
have pretty clear roles. You shoot people.
It's true.
You do the automatic writing, and
You're a shit liar.
In theory, I should be really good at it.
it just didn't go well.
In theory.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you head up to your seance room, and I mean, like we said, it's fairly new. We've been kind of testing the waters with this. Erling's been popping in from time to time. He's the easiest one to kind of get a hold of. Hven, what does Hven do to walk and get people through this seance? Like, how does this sort of ritual practice look?
Oh, it's lots of candles to start off with. We get
course.
so many candles. I get my crystal ball going.
Bed Bath and Beyond, at least, for some candles.
Yeah. It's got to be the lavender scented to get everyone nice and relaxed. And I don't know. Hven, I think, is really just a fraud when it comes to it. So it's he's as surprised as anyone else if it works. So yeah, it'll just be rattling off of old occult passages I found and this and that, and then I just start speaking in tongues and rattling the table around with my knees underneath of it.
And over the course of like maybe 15-20 minutes where you're doing that and it's taking a really long time for anything to happen, like eventually materializing in front of you all is this bookish nerd, like this little guy, like kind of slender. The only person who would recognize him doesn't have eyes right now, but he's just there in the corner kind of flipping through a ghostly book. He looks kind of like a blue glowy from Star Wars or something.
I think Rubatega was there
Rubitega
too.
was there. Okay, so
Yeah.
Rubitega, you would recognize him. Perfect. Then you would see that it's Erling again, who's just kind of leaning against a wall in the corner, just reading through a spectral book. Just that's it. That's all he's doing.
I'll just hello again.
And he jumps
Remember-
completely. The spectral book goes flying up into the air, and he like looks around, starts, and then just like runs as if he's gonna go through the wall, which you know that this is something he can do. But something about the seance parlor makes it now so when he tries to run, he just runs face first into this wall of this strange candles and incense burners, smacks it physically, and like is startled by the fact that he just felt pain for the first time. Then he like looks down his hand, feels his head, and he's kind of going through the mental calculus of like, what the hell just happened? And he looks over at you all and just says, "What have you done?" And he kind of feeling the physicality of the walls now, unable to get through it. What have you done? And Ivan, this is probably the first time you've seen this guy. This ghost just standing in front of you.
Oh, I'm gonna play it off like I meant to do this. Like, oh, great spirits of beyond.
He's like looking around.
Yep, calm down.
Me? Is he talking to me?
Yeah, he's
Yes,
he doesn't
great
know.
spirits. I'm just gonna presume the rest of you can't see him.
No, I'm trying to talk to him. I'm trying to keep
that
it
spirit.
quiet.
Hello?
Sigurd's gonna point.
You all can see him too.
He lives here.
Because you can see him because of my great seance-ing.
I think that's why he's stuck here.
Oh, could you just undo what you just did? I really don't feel up to company right now. I have things I'm doing. Thank you.
Yes, but first we need help. Information on the task at hand.
I don't. What task?
You all can see him. I can drop the act, right? Listen, we got to go to a place and we're going to rescue the ship gnome's brother and reclaim sextant or something like that. Do you know anything about it? His name is Squabbles. He's on a ship called the Marigold.
No, I know ship gnomes. I've read about them. Yes, prickly folk, but good natured.
He was headed toward Tycho
Hven.
Brahe.
That name, of course, astronomer. Strange fellow, but yeah. Island of Hven. Yes. Observatories. Yes. Oh, is that where you're going?
Yes.
You know, now that I think about it, that's what I thought. Geez. He kind of reaches down, kind of grabs his book. No, not that one. And he tries to go and reach one of the other books on the wall or something like that. And no, blast this stupid spell. We're going to have a conversation about if we're all going to live here together.
I'll start putting some of the candles out.
Ground rules. No imprisoning me in a room. I've lived here far longer than all of you. Anyhow.
We meant no offense. We were just looking for assistance.
We once had a society member from Hven. Yes, many years ago. Far before my time. I knew him as an old, crotchety man. Dead now for, I don't even know what years it is, but he's came from there, yes, yeah. What was his name? Halvor was his name, that's right. Halvor Brode, that was his name. Halvor Brode, yes, crotchety old, mean son of a... Oh, very sorry, very bad man, very angry, but unlike some people within this room, actually had magical abilities of some kind. Real magical abilities. No,
much like myself, friend.
Yes, like you.
What did he do with those abilities?
Oh, he could conjure elements out of thin air. Out of nothing. He could just wave his hands, speak a few words of power, and spark a flame, or douse a water with come out of the sky and just soak you. More than once, mind you. I burnt one of my pages of my books. Intentionally, I think so. But when I met him, he was a bit senile, and it's possible that he just misunderstood me and thought I was an intruder, but still very unacceptable. Books are not to be burnt.
What happened to him?
Oh, he died. Natural causes. He's very old. When I met him, and I was quite young when I started here, he was, 80 some odd years. It must have been 100 years ago from Hven. He might have been, but yes, did not like people. Big bushy hair covered his ears very often. Very strange man. Never liked to have anyone see him without his hair down. But I did catch it one time. One time I was able to see him without his hair down. And I can see why he was trying to hide them. They were hairy ears. Not hairy like the way an old man's ears get, but like tufts on them, tufts of fur. Animalistic like, very bushy and pointy in some way. Odd, not human. Asked him about it, and then he set my underwear on fire, so
Oh dear.
I did not ask about it anymore.
Probably a wise decision.
Yes, yeah. But he was a very, very temperamental man, prone to wild mood swings. From what I heard, this was true even before his senility struck. Very temperamental, very angry all the time. I posit that it was probably because he was picked on as a child for his abnormality, if you understand. So social graces were not his forte.
Do you think he was part Vaesen?
Oh, assuredly, yes. Unfortunately, he was very tight-lipped about it and would not explain, well, what half of Vaesen that might be. His mother, I do know, Mother Broad, human, so the father, for sure. Father must be the Vaesen.
Okay. Are there any books or anything on him that we could
On
read?
him specifically, no. He's logged his own places, but he never returned to Hven. Never returned. In fact, he spoke about it awfully. He hated the place, and he never wanted to return. He was a very avid traveller, but he went, like you all do, to various places here. But no specific. He wasn't other than being capable of various magical feats. He kept quiet.
Okay. Well, that's we know that from this place we're going, there's some tie-in with that kind of person.
I would imagine. Yes.
You've been very helpful. Thank you very much. And I'll turn to Hven and say, how do we send him back?
One more
Great
thing.
spirit of beyond.
But what I do disappears.
Oh.
And then he comes back and he does one more thing. He did once make the claim that he was royalty, by the way. Referred to his father as a king. Now, this was when he was 84, 85 years old, and he also would wander down into the dining hall without any pants on, so it's possible he was just crazy. But he did mention that. So, okay, goodbye. He turns to this.
Okay.
So,
Some insight, at least.
Cool. Let's go shopping.
okay, you guys know how to do it. And if there's any other research or anything you want to do, you're welcome to that as well.
Joe, what were you thinking for stuff we were going to buy?
So we got
trying to
4
think
so
of
far.
how long do you think we're going to be like on boat if we're looking at this?
You would know it's not that far at all. It's a quick ride.
Okay.
Yeah, you can actually if
And
on a
then-
good day, on a good weather, if you were on the island, which is kind of a raised island, it's a plateau actually, you could see the various coastlines. If on a good day,
And then what kind of environment is it on the island itself? Is it really
agrarian,
like-
yeah, like
Okay.
farmland, that kind of thing is what's it's primarily there now.
Okay.
I mean,
Nothing
we
too
don't-
hard wilderness or anything. I'm sorry, Jeremy. Go ahead.
So yeah, hopefully compass. I was thinking probably since we don't have our fine doctor anymore, some medical supplies might be good.
It's a good idea. I can throw in both of my resources, taking us up to 6.
Did we divvy out the equipment from last time?
That's a great question. Did you all figure
Should
out
have.
last time what you kept? So you can
Yeah.
keep one item.
Yep.
I think
I
we
kept
did.
that artifact.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think we did that.
Is there still field kitchen, hunting trap, rope, and provisions, and a hurricane lamp that doesn't have anyone's name by it?
Yeah, I already have a field kitchen and a hurricane lamp on my sheet. So I
I'll
can
take
cook
that
for
hurricane
us, and
lamp.
I've got a lamp.
Okay, I'll get rid of the hurricane lamp then.
Yeah, having a couple of lamps is probably not a bad idea.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I mean, you guys have control over the inventory page, so I'll let you add whatever it is you think you're
Oh,
gonna
I
need.
already had a hurricane lamp. What was one of the other ones that we had there? Unclaimed.
Field kitchen, hunting trap, rope, nutritious provisions.
we just have to pick 4 of them that we want to keep, right? that-
Yeah, it would be for
So basically, we keep one every time, so we're kind of building as we go.
yeah.
Each
Mhm.
person
Well,
gets
since
to keep one thing.
Joe and our Joe's your character was there.
Joe's
at the
there.
end
I would
of
say-
last
I would say-
session, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bensly probably would be able to keep something then.
Yeah.
Either the rope or the hunting trap. Probably
Okay.
rope.
Well, the stuff that people's keeping, you should just move into your character sheet so we can
Mhm.
clear this out.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I've got a hurricane lamp and axe, so both of those can be cleared out. I think we have multiple lamps.
I grabbed the rope.
I have the weak poison.
Nice.
All right, so I'm gonna clear this out. So, yeah. All right, so who all else is throwing in capital?
I don't have anything
Let's-
to give.
Let's see what we need first. I mean, we
Okay.
may not.
Yeah, I can toss in up to 13.
I feel like a compass definitely makes sense. I heard somebody
Yeah.
say that already.
Yep.
Possibly map book if we're traveling a long way.
You would know. You would know that the island itself, especially Bensly would know all this. The island itself is not that big. It's maybe about 4.5 miles across. It's about maybe 100, 150 feet tall, like the plateau raised up. So.
Well, do we think they're missing like on the island, or like the ship is missing somewhere, and we're gonna be like,
We won't know till
Don't
we
know.
get there and ask. That's the
Yeah.
thing.
Oh,
Okay.
so simple bandages? Is that what we were thinking for?
Or maybe even medical equipment.
Damn.
It costs an extra point, but it lets you roll with a +2.
+2. Okay.
Yeah, we keep getting battered pretty badly.
Yeah.
Let's,
Yeah.
I have simple bandages already, so yeah, more
Medical equipment. Okay.
good.
So that's up to 6 right now.
And I've got some healing ability.
Okay.
I've got 5 dice on healing base, so
Have more won't hurt.
yep.
I don't know. I mean, we got dogs. Did someone take that rope? Joe, did you take that? rope?
Yeah, I took the rope.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got rope.
Some binoculars.
And
Yeah.
I have a pair of those already, but
Okay.
Okay.
I think one's enough.
Yeah.
Yep. Want a cannon?
There we go.
Shit.
Oh my.
That's where it's 6 right now, so we don't need to spend any more. Or do we need to get more weapons or anything?
it might be opportunity to get some weapons if we want.
I love the fact that now that you pointed out, I could afford to get a cannon.
Yeah, you could.
Damn.
I'm so delighted.
Oh,
I hope you close your eyes when you shoot it as well.
God. What have we done?
I mean, that's going to be my retirement plan. I just buy a cannon, bring it out to the forest, and just terrify anybody that comes close.
Closes his eyes, fires. It's somewhere in the distance.
You
like
just hear a
barn
tree
falls
fall
down.
over. Yeah.
Something bad is slain in the distance.
Oh, jeez.
Gosh, is it?
I've got a revolver.
The crystal ball or scrolls might be useful.
I have a crystal ball.
You have one?
Mhm.
Okay. Um,
Are we gonna need to eat? Like, is this something we need to pack food
You always need
with
to
this
eat.
travel?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
but we need to pack food. It won't be available.
I thought nutritious provisions was one of the things that was on the list of
I
stuff.
don't
was.
think anyone kept it though.
Oh, okay.
Well, we can buy another one of those.
Bensly would know. There's small village or two on the island.
Mhm.
Okay.
We can.
How much will we need for our travel that's not been paid for?
Basically just train tickets. So you're looking at, let's see, trainer boat is 3, so 3 would do.
Okay, so that puts us at 9.
Is that both ways?
Yeah, that's fine.
So yeah, that puts us at 9.
Yeah, that's true. Caius closes his eyes, fires the cannon, and Gunner is missing a leg. Wonder how that happened.
I'm a good person.
Of course you are. All right.
Are
Anything
you
else?
gonna say that we needed to have bought the homing pigeons
Um.
because they technically cost 2?
Oh. That's a good question. I actually don't know the answer to that.
Buy a homing pigeon.
I feel like the homing pigeon loft probably gives it to you for free.
Yeah, if it's
That's my
anything like
guess.
the kennel, you buy the kennel so you don't have to keep buying dogs.
Mm,
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I think that makes sense.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. If someone in chat or somewhere down the road figures it out, let us know. But that's what we're gonna go with for now. Anything else?
Yeah,
Yeah,
description is
crowbar.
cage with homing pigeons.
I lost my medium armor. I might buy some light armor.
Okay.
That way it's a little more functional
Yeah, go for it.
this time around.
Cost on that?
2. And I've got one of the resources for it, so.
So right now, well, let's pull.
I like
let's
that a
count everything
chair
up.
is
So-
under the
Yeah,
melee
yeah.
weapons.
Yeah. 2, 4, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We're at 13. We still have that covered. We had 6 to start with.
And you can always burn capital too. Don't forget that. So if anyone
Yeah.
needs to
Well, that
burn
was
capital.
6 with my capital.
So if you have 6, I've got 13. We are.
Okay.
That puts us at 9.
I had 2
Don't even put it
resources
all
to
in.
contribute, and then I have 2 capital if we need.
We've got above and beyond then, because I still have
Whatever.
capital too. So
I'm gonna get a rapier then.
You can always shop on the mystery sometimes if you find a proper merchant or
Yeah, I'm gonna reserve my.
Yeah, I'm
2
gonna reserve
capital
mine
for.
just for.
Yeah, reserving a little bit. Actually, it sounds silly, but we've had at least 2 different times where silver seemed to interact in a way with something. Caius may ask around how you get more silver bullets and get a lot of strange looks as he does so.
that's
Yeah.
fair.
you go up to the ammunition. What y'all want them silver bullets for, eh? What are you doing with them? Like just
Yeah,
some random thing.
suspicious.
Display piece.
Ah,
I mean, look at me. I can't hit the broadside of a barn, but I have like a really fancy looking pistol and I like to display it.
yeah, you one of them types, aren't you? Okay.
I am. You know,
Okay.
I'm
See,
willing to
that
pay good
was-
money for my vanity.
We want to kill someone in style.
Now that's just all that's what I was looking for right there. That's the one. So I slide you over the silver bullets.
Joe, were you throwing your capital in?
Yeah, I've got 2 capital that I wanted to hold, but if we need them for something now,
Okay. Either or. I mean, and Dan, were you throwing yours in?
I might. I mean, we're above and beyond our capacity. I was thinking I might just throw in for like a close combat weapon for myself too.
Okay. I'm just trying to count up, make sure we spend it.
Yeah, I mean, we don't
Okay,
have
for
to
it.
spend it right now. So
The resources that you rolled, you do, but the capital you can do at any point in time.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever you roll for your resource roll right now, you do have to spend.
because
Okay.
maybe later we could roll for resources again and
Yes,
do some more
that's how you
shopping.
buy in mystery. Yeah.
Okay. With Joe's capital and my capital and the 4 resources, we're 10 short right now for what we're getting. Is that all just coming out of yours, Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean that Caius
Okay.
dumps in like a minimum 12 before the roll.
Okay. There you go. That'll cover.
All right, Dan, were you getting a weapon?
I'll wait until later.
Okay. All right, it's updated.
All right. Was there anybody looking to do any other types of research, any other types of clue gathering before you head out on the journey?
Well, none of us are booksmart anymore.
Maybe
I mean, I can try.
if there's any like local news about other ships disappearing or something.
Find out who the ship's underwriter is. Like all these ships are insured. So like who insures the ship?
So if you look up, yeah, they'll take some time, but you do find that there is just a kind of a small import-export company that works out of Landskrona that has the Marigold on their payroll. What else were you looking for, Joe?
I wanted to see if there was like any other disappearances of ships,
Okay.
any weird things in that kind of area.
You start digging through some of the castle logs, castle journals, and things that have been slowly being organized over the course of time, and you don't find anything of recent. Like there's nothing in the news. Like nothing pops up in the news about missing ships or anything like that. Nothing like that at all. But there's only one real thing that you find in the Society's annals about the island of Hven, and it's not so much about the island itself, it's actually about the strait, the Orson Strait, that there used to be apparently a fairly large sea serpent that was in and around those waters. There were multiple entries about this, but the most recent is years and years and years, like long time. It was well before the fire, well before when Linnea so there hasn't really been any kind of documentation about that yet. And in one of the more recent, in like the most recent entry, like the person who did the recording as they were kind of going through mentions that they suspect that it probably has migrated away at this point as the strait itself has become a little bit more active and there's more boats on the water. So they've likely found different waters to prey upon. That's the only thing that pops up.
As I mentioned, if I look into that serpent, is there anything that if it left would leave vacant? Was there anything that it was like keeping away? I know of, or is that too deep?
I mean, in terms of like underwater, like there's when you start going through like aquatic Vaesen, like you see serpents, you see mermaids, you see I mean, almost jokingly kraken, kind of almost referred to in the same way that a dragon is referred to, like on land, but no documented sightings or encounters in the Society's annals.
Okay.
So can I find out through either telegram or phone whether or not the insurance company has written the ship off as lost?
Yeah, you can, and they have not. They're just
okay. So it actually hasn't been lost long then. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, they say they're overdue by a couple weeks, but this isn't alarming yet. If it's a month, that would start to concern them. So there's a little bit of time still.
I'm not sure of the exact specifics with this, but because we have the workshop, someone can have a well-maintained tool or a well-maintained weapon.
Yeah, it's an advantage. So it's basically you can tap into that like any other advantage.
Do we have to call that in advance, or is that something like in the moment you say?
I think it's before we leave. We decide like who did like who spent time in the workshop to maintain their weapon.
Exactly.
Nobody else is doing anything. I can do that. So.
Yeah, put it on a gun with silver bullets.
Yeah, type it in one of your advantage slots. That's one of the advantages you have, and you'll get another one, by the way, as we go on the journey.
I think it should go to Rubitega. I mean, I don't think it's fair to say Caius is like in the workshop maintaining his pistol.
Fair enough. Okay. Anybody think of anything else they want to do?
Good.
Okay. So you get a good night's rest. Your tickets are for, we'll probably say it's about maybe 2 days after, not the day after you met with Bicker, you're probably doing some shopping, getting ready. And then the day after that is when you finally leave. and you hop on the train and you begin your travel. So you know that the first stop is in Stockholm as you travel southward. First, where there's a main intersect, there's a kind of a main hub, and there's a small layover there where like the train's kind of picking up more passengers. So you have time to kind of linger about for about an hour or two, but it's mostly kind of a nothing really important seems to happen. It's definitely getting colder and colder. The winter is looming. You can see there's people are often kind of prepping for that in some way, in this way or that way. Very little light during the day at this point. A lot of overcast. You can say that the mood itself, like people are a little bit grumpier on the, on some of the rides. They're not as some of your train stops and such. Then people a little bit more short tempered when they're waiting in line or when they're asked to move over in a seat or something like that. But eventually you get back on your train, you start heading from Stockholm in the long trip across westernly to Gothenburg. It's a trip that Caius, you would take fairly regularly because this is the train that would take you to Kristinehamn, which would allow you to go off into off to the north by the forest where you can meet with Ina. And you know that there's a series of stops along the way: Kristinehamn, Lidköping, and eventually you would get to Gothenburg probably by the end of the day. Along the way, don't forget this is the time in which you tell me what you're doing on your journey to kind of develop an advantage, right? Like what you're doing. But at a certain point, the strangest thing kind of happens is maybe a few of you before you get to Kristinehamn, maybe Caius, you're doing some calculus, see if you can make it. Could you make it to visit Ina in time before the layovers ended? You're kind of sipping some tea or whatever in a dining car when all of a sudden you hear this shout, and these two men, one of them flips over a table, like the table somehow just rips up the top, and there's like the sounds of silverware and plateware falling and crashing all over the place. And you can see that both of them are brandishing knives, and they're kind of in this really tight space, trying to circle one another, and they're occasionally swiping out, trying to stab. You're in this. What are you doing? Like you're in there with it.
Terribly sorry to interfere.
Do you want to
Did you
get
know
cut
I
too?
have and that sounds like a lovely venture, but I just have the most expensive bottle of brandy, just a car down that way. And I hate drinking alone. Maybe instead of stabbing each other, we can drink and not stab.
Roll a manipulation test.
I will.
It's hard to say no to that honesty right there.
That
And
seemed
take
like
a
the thing
+1 for the booze.
Wonderful. And thankfully, I can use inspiration in place of that. So I get to roll 11.
Okay.
There you go.
I wanted 2 successes, one for each person, and they're like,
All right. Okay. I'll drink your brandy or something.
I appreciate this. This train ride gets so boring. Nobody will talk to me. And like you gentlemen look like you're men of the world, and I could go for some real company.
All right. Well, if this one does anything, right across the throat, this one will do. The other one's like, yeah, well, if this one does anything, right across the throat.
and they're all just kind of staring each other down.
And if I do anything, I hope you'll forgive me.
Yeah. All right.
And so
Huh?
they wander off with you, but they're kind of eyeing each other over top of you. One's in front of you, one's behind, one's kind of like walking backwards through the aisles and such, like looking over top.
Yeah, I can take them. Then you and I can share the brandy ourselves. Get more brandy if there's 2 people than if there's 3. I heard that. I heard everything you just said. I'm 3 feet from you.
So all of you see this as he kind of comes back and he's pouring out into these little glasses, hands shaking little cups of brandy as these men with knives get drunk.
So my name's Caius, and who are you? Fine people.
I'm Daryl. This is my brother, Larry.
Larry and Daryl, are you from here?
No, we're not from here. We're getting home.
Oh, excellent. May I ask where home is?
Why? Why you want to know?
just curious how much longer you have to be stuck on this darn train, because I know it can drive me crazy sometimes too.
We're getting off into the coven. We'll be here for a little while.
Oh.
Don't worry. And one of them puts their arm around you. We're going to be good company. And just kind of shakes you and kind of pulls you in close. Okay. All right.
Sigrid wants to just
I'm
join
gonna give
the-
him a thumbs up.
Sigrid will join and just make sure everything stays calm.
They kind of look up at you.
All right. You ain't getting any of this brandy, though.
Oh no, that's fine. You know, we do so much traveling. It's always nice to meet new people.
Okay. All right. We don't need to do too much talking here. Drinking's fine.
And I'll see if at some point during that, since they didn't want to talk, if I can convince them to share the alcohol with me.
No.
And they just hold the empty glass over.
All right, kiss ass, pour again. Come on.
And I'll pull out my own
No,
bottle.
not you.
with
Kiss
her.
ass. That one right there. That's his name, right? Kiss ass.
Close enough.
That's a delightful. Yeah, and I'll pour one for them. Pour one for. It's Larry and Daryl, right? I
Yeah,
apologize.
Daryl. My brother Daryl
So-
is my brother Larry. Yeah.
So pour one for him. Pour one for me. Pour like a very minor amount for myself.
Okay. And it gets a little bit better. They get a little bit more booze in them. Eventually, like one of them, like they kind of just like sort of doze off as you're pouring more heavily for them than yourself, and they kind of get into the monotony of the train ride and the drink, and they conk
I'll
out.
make sure to pass some of my share over to my friend.
Okay, sure enough. All right. Anybody come up with anything they want to do for their advantage?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I just wanted to look up like town names, enough just general information in the area to maybe BS that I'm from here,
Okay.
if need be in conversation at some point.
Okay. So are you looking like for a manipulation, maybe like a manipulation bonus?
Yeah.
Okay. Just say, local con or something like that, and then you'll be able to pull on that for a manipulation at some point. Perfect. Anybody else have any ideas?
Yeah, I am. I'm basically eavesdropping. I'm gonna stay, in a seat for an hour or two, just listen to all the conversations around me, and then kind of move on to a different place, and just kind of get a feeling for what's going on. And if anyone's repeating the same kind of rumors or news, just kind of clue in on that.
So the biggest piece of news, like immediately coming out of Uppsala, has been about the appointment of a new bishop. That's the biggest thing. It was a big deal. The last bishop retired unexpectedly, and the new bishop that Sigrid has had some run-ins with over the last week or so. That's the biggest thing. As you get closer to closer down the west side of Sweden, there, the west coast, that's less of an issue because you're a little bit further away from Uppsala. But you start hearing a little bit more just about delays. Like there's a lot of like shipment delays here and there. People kind of upset that they're not getting their product in time, that kind of thing. So you could probably, for that, I would say you could do maybe like a learning test bonus or something. If you want to do that, is there another?
Oh, sure. Yeah, that'll work.
So we'll say advantage for learning. Okay.
Is it possible to get an advantage on fear tests?
Those are logic plus empathy. There's no skill.
Okay, no skill. All right.
Yeah, the advantage
I was
is
trying
your
to remember if that was what it was or if it was one.
There's a talent that'll help.
Yeah. Trying to remember if it was there was a talent under them or if it was the. Yeah. Gosh.
So eventually you get through Lidköping and your two new friends, they get off a little bit drunk. And you can see as they do, they kind of bump into one another. And one of them's like, "Yeah, I saw you bump me on purpose." And I didn't bump you on purpose. And they just get shoved out of the train and they kind of stop down. And then they hop down and they start brawling outside. But it's not your problem anymore. You can see a handful of cops. These constables come up in these matching outfits. And they kind of break up the fight here and there. But they don't really seem too concerned with them, actually, as they get on board the train. And they're kind of moving up and down the cars, looking the various kind of looking at people, checking tickets, asking if you've I've seen like these two teenage girls come through here. See them? They got colorful scarves. You see them? You see them?
Oh.
Okay. If you do, you just holler. And they just keep going. Eventually, Sigurd, at some point, maybe you're coming back from like a powder room or something like that, and you notice that there's two like teenage girls, like these scrawny teenage girls that are like hiding down and behind one of the seats, obscured by a stack of some crates and stuff. Well, you see them kind of just in there, and they see you, and they're shh. They're like really, really quiet.
And so I will look around and make sure that the constables are nowhere in sight.
Yeah, they're in the next car.
Okay. I'm going to pretend to pull out a book and just sort of pace across back and forth to kind of cover my face. But kind of ask them like, why are you hiding? What's the matter? Are you running from something?
And you hear one of like,
It was her idea. She made me do it. I didn't make you do it. It was your idea. Shh. Be quiet. They're gonna find us. Don't trust her. She's a stranger.
No, I can assure you, I often look after those that have been running from something. But what caused you to be on this train?
We're hiding, and you're making it harder to hide. Shh. Oh God, they're coming back. They're coming back. Shh. Go somewhere else. Go somewhere else.
and you can see that the constables are coming back through the train that you're in.
Yeah, and so I have my book out, and so I'm just sort of like walking and kind of reading and just pacing around.
And so you can hear like the two girls are like kind of still arguing, like whisper yelling at one another. And as the constables come up, one of them like knocks into the crate and like they shakes a few things, and the constables like over there, and they start to kind of get a little closer, and they look over. Ah, there you are! They reach down, grab him. They
I was going to try to distract him.
No, I think they saw it. They kind of reach down and grab one by like this like colorful, like, cut out of here, you thieves! And they start pulling both of them out, and they're all yelling at each other. Like one of the teenagers spits at the other, and then he spit back, and they're like all trying to swipe at each other, and they're like, come on! And each one of them is kind of carried off the train by one of the constables.
And I'll just kind of ask the constable, like, what did they steal?
Yeah,
I don't see anything on them.
What they're wearing.
They got like really colorful, pretty looking scarves.
Like, ain't theirs. Go back to your seat, ma'am. And they just
get off the train at that point, back into the town. Travel continues then as you start making your way to Gothenburg at that point. Has anybody come up with anything else for advantages they want to do?
I had an idea. If you want to go first, that's fine though.
Yeah, go ahead,
I don't have an idea for an advantage, but I do have an idea. I'll float it past you to maybe regain my capital.
Okay.
I want to do those fake ass,
palm reading or something.
Yeah,
Okay.
like whatever you call it, summoning spirits, or telling people's fortunes and stuff like that. And I'll just use I have my conjuring trick ability, so I can use stealth instead of manipulate.
Mhm.
So I just want to lift some wallets and stuff and look at people's personal information and then tell them their own personal information and get them to pay me for it.
Okay. So let's just make it a stealth test then. See if you can.
All right.
It's easy enough to tell them, so let's just see if you can get these things without being detected.
Sure. No.
No, you want to push that?
Yes.
Okay. We'll say you'll start the day. Okay. It's a little frustrating time, but yeah, we'll say you can go ahead and you pick the pockets of most of the people within your train car, a couple people down in a different car, and kind of go through along the ride, telling fortunes, giving advice, that kind of stuff. And you're getting little tips from time to time, like, oh, thank you. It's old women, like, oh, wonderful. You're so perceptive. Oh, thank you.
Well, did you hear that, Ethel? We're gonna find the man of our dreams. It's gonna be wonderful.
Oh boy,
I love it.
So yeah,
sorry.
you can go ahead and regain your capital. Go ahead, Jeremy.
So the girls are getting taken away. Basically, like, it was clear that they had just was that something that'd be pretty easy for all of us to have seen, or maybe would have passed by.
Oh yeah, it was
us.
super loud, super loud.
I think it would be fun. I've never done anything to help out my my stealth, I believe is what you might use for some
Okay.
of this nature.
Okay.
But I think it would be fun that as they're passing by, Caius just trying to be good natured, maybe tries to palm some money in one of their hands and just kind of whisper, "It's a shame you forgot to pay for it."
Okay. Roll a stealth. Yeah, roll a stealth test. See how you do.
Just
This is less about getting them to notice and more about not getting the cops to notice.
yeah. Okay. And one.
Wow, look at that.
That's good enough. Yeah, and so you do that, and like you whisper, and you can see as they get down onto the train station, on the platform itself. Like you can see that the girls start saying something, and like they're kind of trying to talk, and then like both the cops kind of like I can't really hear everything, but you can kind of make sense of. And one of them reaches into the pocket that you just palmed some stuff in, and just puts into the hand of the cop. The cop kind of looks at it, and then he goes ahead and he just pauses. He's like, "All right, get out of here!" And you can see the two of them just start running away. Yeah.
Hooray.
I like it. You're a good person.
Yes. Got to make up for alternating Mondays.
You end up having to stay the night in Gothenburg, as it's fairly late when you pull in, and there's a train in the morning that heads southward down to Landskrona. But you start heading there. There's a couple other stops along the way. So Rubatega or Bensly, do you have ideas on or even
I was hoping to. I was going to use Caius for this one since he's such a bad liar. I was going to work on my observation skills
Okay.
and have him tell me some truths and lies and see if I can discern which one's which.
Oh, that's fun. I love this game. 2 truths and 1 lie. Absolutely. I love this.
Okay, well, give him 2 truths and 1 lie, and let's see what Rubatega picks. I'm curious.
Okay. That's a good question.
2 truths and 1 lie about Caius.
I once gave an ascot to Vaesen. My son is stronger than I am. And I speak German.
Rubatega, knowing nothing, is going to say that you speak German and that your son is stronger than you.
Look at that. You got something over your head there, Chuck. Be careful.
Something.
Oh
I don't know what that is.
Okay, so go ahead and you can read people. So take observation +1. Okay. The train heading south is a little bumpy. It's continuing. You can start seeing there's actually some snowfall here and there that you kind of go through. Nothing too heavy, but there's a little bit. At one point, there's a bit of a commotion, and the train suddenly lurches to a stop. This is just past Halmstad, and like there's this big old commotion on one of the trains, and a couple of you probably head down there, and you can see that there's a boy on the ground outside in like this kind of the rocky, snowy area off the tracks, and you can see the heavy contrast between like the red and the white as there's blood everywhere. You can see a broken bone or two, and he's just howling in pain. One of the train conductor is like yelling at these other boys and just kind of scolding them. And from what you can glean, like they were kind of egging him on to like jump, and eventually he just did. And the mother of this boy is down there like weeping, and she's, they're calling, "Is there a doctor? Is anyone a doctor?" And none of you are. So the kid just, he just sits there bleeding for a bit. Eventually someone goes ahead and kind of makes a run to like a nearby home in the distance. They get him on a wagon, and they start heading back a different way. But it's a long delay for you all. It's just a long wait. You're just stuck there for the longest time with people who are getting increasingly cranky, increasingly angry, yelling at the conductor, complaining left and right. No more duels, but it's very, very frustrating time. Who's still left to go? I got Bensly, I think, left. Sigrid, I think, are the only 2. Is that right?
Yep.
Oh no, Bensly already went. Bensly already went for advantage.
Yeah.
So Sigrid, you're the last one.
Yeah,
Oh
go grab myself
goodness.
some more water real quick.
Yeah.
Can I try? Since nobody was a doctor, can I just try to help that boy and just see if maybe I can get a little bit okay at doing that kind of thing?
Do you want to use this as an advantage for like a medicine check later, or do you want to like actually see if you can help him?
Um, Advantage?
Okay,
No,
so
I'll just
yeah.
see if I can help. I'll just see if I can help.
Oh, okay, never mind. So yeah, you got to roll a medicine test to see if you can lend some aid.
Okay. I just don't see a circumstance when I would
Okay.
do medicine because that's
Well, we don't have a doctor anymore, but you go ahead and you make like a small makeshift splint that helps with one of the a broken leg that the kid clearly has. It's awful. You help kind of set the bone, and he's screaming in agony, and eventually just sort of passes out in pain. But yeah, what did you want to do for your advantage, Sigrid?
Joe, your character does medicine, right?
I can do some. I put a few points into it.
Okay. Better than
I can
nothing.
attempt. Yeah.
So what do you want to do for your
And-
advantage, Sigrid?
I want to. Basically, what I'm trying to do is agility because I've got that gangrene situation going on.
Okay.
So I want to kind of try to find a car that doesn't have a lot of people in it and just try to kind of practice again with like trying to climb up a ladder and try to do different things to kind of keep my
Yeah, keep your
agility,
okay. So
keep myself.
absolutely, say loose muscles or something. So go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead and take a +1 to agility.
Cool.
But eventually, at long last, you all make it to Lanscorona.
Do I know how far away a doctor would be? Like, is it like impossible to find one from where that kid was injured?
No, somebody already had gone and like fetched out like a local home that they saw, grabbed a wagon, and they're kind of heading back to a different town rather than turn the train around completely. So
Okay.
no, it shouldn't be too difficult. They should be able. And when you look, you can see it's
'Cause
broken bones.
That's probably the only time I would like really interject because
Yeah.
Bensley's probably not as confident in that type of
I would
medical
guess
thing.
probably a broken bone. Looks like at least a broken arm or a wrist. Nothing that'll probably kill him, but he could be he could have a limp or something for the rest of his life. It's pretty badly broken. Yeah. Okay, so you eventually make it to Lanscorona, and you track down the captain name that you were given, Matthias Rund, who says that he can take you out whenever you're ready. But we can either go tonight or we can go tomorrow evening. But he has business in the morning, so if you want to go now when you first arrive, which is fairly late, or you can wait till tomorrow. So it's kind of up to you.
I would vote for tomorrow,
Agreed.
just so we can do some scouting around of the town here today.
Hopefully it goes better than last time we sat down in a tavern and tried to chat some people up.
Yeah.
So this is a decently large town, bigger than Tanis. This is town city, however you want to delineate that. But yeah, you spend a night on the town. You hit some taverns. People are mostly friendly, but as the night progresses, like as people get into their cups, more than once, like you can see people getting thrown out. You can see like fights kind of start breaking out, like these little fisticuffs here and there. Just things like people like the bartenders have to break up this, or a bouncer has to throw a person out in their butt, that kind of stuff. Someone doesn't pay for their drink, or someone knocks over a drink accidentally, and a little tiny thing turns into everyone's just kind of an angry mood. Like it's just a bad time
just
here.
make light of this to everybody and say, does it seem to you that everyone is on a much shorter fuse since we started this little jaunt? How do we feel? Are we feeling more irritable?
I feel very stressed.
That's normal.
Why is everybody so angry?
Every individual thing that happens seems explainable. I mean, all of them together is it could just be coincidence, but yeah, it could just be the time of year. It could just be the onset of winter. It's hard to say. Not everyone, by the way. Plenty of people are perfectly fine and happy.
This is the kind of mood you would expect to find a few months down the road when everyone is sick and tired of winter. This is doesn't bode well.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to like. It's probably a silly connection, but we are looking for someone named Squabble. Just that came to mind. That's all.
Given the job by a man named Picker.
Yeah. Things fit, don't they?
A little bit, a little bit.
Now that you mention it.
So the night's fine. He's finding a place to stay. Nothing too fancy, but nothing too terrible. And you have you all have capital scores high enough that it's not hard to find a place to stay here. Not an issue whatsoever. The captain had business in the morning, but he comes and finds you kind of past midday and says, "You can head out if you're ready." He says, it'll be a short ride. He'll let you off in Kirkbacken, which is a kind of the western little harbor on the island itself. And there's a couple other places. I went ahead and opened up a little map for y'all on Foundry. There's up on the tabs, you can see there's a Hven, and it'll give you a generic map of the island that I completely stole off the internet somewhere. But it kind of breaks down a little, like kind of the major areas that kind of people are breaking, or where the populations are. The trip there is pretty simple, but like I said before, like it's getting darker and darker, the less and less light. And so by the time you're let off in Kirkbacken, which is very modest in size, you can see there's other boats and ships here. It's snowing, or not so much snowing. It's more like kind of a very cold, light rain and a kind of a heavy fog. There's a handful of other ships. You can see masts and here and there, and you can hear the sounds of clinking bells from time to time. That he's very careful on the approach. You can also tell that the lights themselves on the docks that are supposed to sort of direct to certain points aren't on, and he's kind of a bunch of like lazy, good for nothing dockmaster folk can't just gonna get someone killed. God, I hate it. It's ridiculous. And
Take it this is abnormal.
it happens every now and then. If I don't come here all that often, but it's not much to it. They're trying to they're talking about maybe building something on the other side, so I'm gonna have to come all the way around. Anyway, it's just people just not doing their jobs is what it is. Yeah. Anyway, I can be back. Can pick you back up. Can probably find a place to stay up the ways there, and they've got a nice little tavern, a couple rooms maybe. You might be able to find a place to stay. I can be back in 2-3 days. You have a preference?
Like 3.
Yeah, we won't know how much we've got to do till we get there. So 3.
Okay. All right, I'll be back in 3 days. If you need anything, you can talk to a guy in town. He by the name of Elmer. He's a guy that runs the place a bit, the mayor or whatever. But he'll situate you. All right. Well, I want to get back there before we lose all this light, because again, getting darker and darker. But he drops you off, and if there's nothing else, he'll turn around and start heading back.
Okay.
Okay.
Just want to ask him, based on the kind of observation that we've had, if he's noticing people being a little bit more crabby than usual.
It's just that time of year. It's fine. We all know what's coming. What are you, new here?
Yeah.
Well, we're from the other side of the country, so.
I ain't that far away.
Well, maybe we're just a little bit more cheerful folk.
I ain't got time for cheer. No. You're all right. You're all right. It's fine. But I got paying jobs I got to get back to. So if you don't mind, ma'am, fellas.
Understood.
I
Thank
gotta
you
go.
much.
All right. Peace out. Anyways. So you guys are at the end of a dock. You guys are at the end of a dock. There's like fog that's kind of starting to roll in a bit. Very little light. You can see the scattering of lights as you look forward. Looking at the island itself, there's these like sloping kind of cliff walls that lead up probably, anywhere between about 50 and 150 feet kind of here, and they're covered in vegetation. You can see in the distance, kind of as the kind of the fog breaks here and there, there's a big old church up on a hill well the ways up. You got a ways that you have to kind of wind up this little switchback kind of boardwalk that goes up a little bit towards what looks to be the scattering of villages and homes and whatnot. It's hard to really discern like how big this place is exactly, because you're not getting a clear view. But as you start walking up the docks itself, you start to take note. There's a handful of boats here and there. You don't see anybody though. There's no one in them. It's late in the day though. It's possible everyone could have come back by now. But you don't really see anybody. You go past there's a little harbor master's office. Gonna go take a look. And you hear the flapping of a door, and you can see in the wind there's this little door that's just flapping. It's just wide open. Harbor master's door, wide open. Papers, maps, logbooks, all that stuff just flapping around in the wind.
Knock on the door. Hello? Hello?
No response.
Well, one thing I've learned is if you come across a building that should not be abandoned and it is, then it is perfectly safe to enter all the time. So let's go in.
It's abandoned. That means there's no danger in it, right?
Where did you learn things, and why did they teach you backwards?
Relax, my friend. Stick with me, and the spirits will guide you as well.
I already know. I already know how to talk to spirits, and they never make anything better.
You've been talking to the wrong ones.
Probably.
So one of the things I wanted to develop is getting his sense of hearing and smell better, since that's how he interfaces with things. I'm not smelling the certain bouquet of ripening dead flesh.
Go ahead. Go ahead and roll an observation test. And since you're focusing specifically on hearing and smell, you don't have to, no penalties.
Nothing.
Push.
Nope.
Okay.
Too early in the game for that.
Just the smell of the surf. The water's just a few feet away. That's pretty much it. Just the smell of kind of the fish too. You can see that there's drying fish racks and stuff nearby where people probably hang fish at some point. You look at it.
Because of his line of work, knowing the scent of cadaver is one of the first things you will.
But yeah, you do smell you smelled decaying fish, and you find an old fish rack, but that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sigurd wants to check the books and
Okay.
see if there's,
Like a
days
log
have
or
passed
something.
since anything's been entered or anything like that.
Ivan, Sigurd, I went inside. I heard the two of them went inside. There's an office, and there's a small room with a hammock and some blankets and a small stove. The stove seems to not be warm, it hasn't been used in quite some time. You can look into it, it hasn't been used today for sure. Sigurd, you start going through some papers and things. You try to make sense of the logbooks and such, and yeah, it doesn't look like there's definitely dates for specific ships. It's not like everything, obviously everything's not logged, but certain deliveries and exports, it looks like they're exporting bricks, clay, stuff like that, and you're getting logbooks. And it's the last one that you see that's been logged is looks like 9 days ago.
Is the marigold perchance logged ever?
You do in fact see the marigold, and that's from about 2 weeks ago.
Well, it means at least was here.
These logbooks show an arrival and a departure time.
Only on arrival time. On
Okay,
arrival
that's for
day, I
all
should
of them.
say.
Yeah. Okay.
So we
Well,
have an arrival for the marigold, but not a
Mhm.
departure for the marigold. Okay.
Oh, just an arrival, I think.
That's
Yeah.
correct. Just an arrival. Sorry if I misspoke.
Yeah.
So we at least know it showed up.
We do. That's something.
Yeah, and you look around, like in the docks here, there's probably maybe 24 boats of various sizes here.
Can I just try to
We-
cross-reference some of the names of the boats to the names in the log?
Okay, it's gonna take a little time to do that, but yeah, you could.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. See how long ago they showed up.
yeah. You spend a little time. If anyone's helping you out, that'll shorten it. But you start going
Yeah,
up and down the
I'll
docks
help out
as best
with
you
that, 'cause
can.
I'm curious about that too.
Yeah, whoever's got lamps has to probably get them out at this point, as it's dark enough and the fog is heavy enough, and you keep hearing like the bells and stuff here and there, cold winds. But other than that, like eerily silent. And yeah, you cross off a bunch of boats, and many of them are on this list. And you also find the Marigold. And it
Oh,
looks almost identical to the one that you saw Old Bicker on. Almost identical.
So it's here
It's here.
still.
Makes sense. Twin ships.
Should we all go take a peek on the ship?
Think so, yeah.
Probably couldn't hurt to just do some initial investigation.
Sure. You get onto the ship. You start looking around. There's basically there's crew quarters underneath the deck. Couple hammocks and such, and there's like a captain's quarter area that's a little bit more robust, but not too. Looks like there's some crates and stuff in here, some cargo they had on the ship. You don't see any sign of anybody, however. You don't see any people.
Okay. So cargo was never unloaded? Or-
Cargo is here. You don't know for certain whether they were delivering cargo here or not, or whether this is just sort of on the way.
Yeah,
it is kind of
that's
on the way if you're going like from Denmark to Sweden, that kind of thing.
Gonna do the obligatory calling out for squabble
Okay.
or anybody.
No, you don't see any. You don't hear any response. No. No, you do find a fairly large pack of like tobacco, and you got this like little small area in one corner behind a few crates. It's almost like a little bed. It's been set up.
Maybe there's some logs the captain had that might have signaled their intent.
Yeah, you go through them. From what you can glean, they didn't have business here, but they were making a kind of a pit stop to, and they specifically at this point they mentioned for our special friend, and but it looks like the cargo that they had it was just sort of like dry grains and things like that they were delivering up the coast further, but not here.
So that was literally a stop for whatever's on the island.
Mm-hmm.
And it just says special friend. We don't have a.
Yeah, it just is for for our friend, I should say.
Okay. Well, do we want to try to head up to the town before it gets much darker and then see what's going on?
Yeah, or were we going to go check out that ship right off the bat?
I think that's where they were going through.
That's
were
what we
going
just
through
got done.
America.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Unless you have more questions.
No. Let's go to town then.
I can see if I
Yeah.
can get a hint about where everybody's gone before we head to the town, if we want to do that. Or I can wait till we get to the town and see if there's something else we'd like to focus on.
Maybe we'll know more once we get into town and see if there's anybody.
Hmm.
Anybody at all.
That's fair.
Okay.
Off we go.
All right. So then you all start moving up that little switchback boardwalk. That is fixed to the slope, so it's easier to climb. And the fog keeps kind of rolling in and out. You hear the bells from the dock kind of are distant now and further. But you get up and you can feel eventually beneath your feet the wood of the dock planks turns into like a cobblestone or a brick of some kind. You're not really sure, but it's hard ground. You see these really small wooden homes as you start passing by, these small, quaint little buildings. Nothing too extravagant, they're like 2-story buildings whatsoever. You see small little gardens on the outside. Most seem to have been not tended recently. Some overgrown stuff here and there. A few doors are open.
We don't see any lights on.
You don't see any lights on, but you do see one one light just sort of flooding through up ahead. And you can see this big billowing cloud of dark black smoke coming up from behind one of these buildings. And some of the fog is kind of cut through or tinted by this little tinge of orange as you think there's light on the other side of that building.
Go check that out.
Yeah.
You start curving around this larger building. You see vaguely what looks like maybe a marketplace or like a farmer's market. You see stalls. You see things stacked up here and there. Some of them have been knocked over in the ground. You see a couple doors that have been kind of fallen off their hinges. A couple of the shutters hanging. You also see like there's this fairly large bonfire, almost like right off the road a little bit, and it's just this huge bit of fire just erupting up. You can almost feel the heat, like standing like maybe 15-20 feet from it. You can kind of feel it. It's like so big and roaring at that point. You hear suddenly this kind of clicking sound. Like
I hit the dirt.
yeah, you hit the dirt. You drop down. You hear like almost like a drag, and then this little drag sound and a clink. And as you guys are watching and like looking at this bonfire, you can see in the distance or coming around one of the buildings, you can see there's a kind of a man dressed in almost like sailor gear. It's kind of looks like a sweater of some kind. Got some tears in it. His hat is kind of turned a little bit off to its side. Big old bushy beard, and he's kind of looking down on the ground. He's got one arm over his back, and he has like this big old sledgehammer that's just right there across, and he's hunched over and he's dragging something. And as you all see him make it around the corner, you can see he's got the leg of somebody. There's a foot in his hand, and there's this other individual on the ground that he's just sort of dragging. Clink, as there's something like the belt buckle or whatever of whatever he's dragging. There's just clink against the brick, and seems to be heading towards the bonfire. And I feel like that's a good place to leave off for this week.
I was gonna say.
Does the person look alive?
We'll find out next week or 2 weeks, Joe.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, do I take the
Find out
shot?
2 weeks.
I have to wait.
Well, but who do you shoot at though? You don't know which one's the bad person in this situation.
I don't know.
So
Watched enough horror movies to know which one's the best one.
it's the one being dragged, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's Jason. And
It
they
depends
thought they
on
finally
which
killed
part during the movie we see.
all right, so let's hit our XP questions for tonight. Let's see.
I think it's gonna be a low payout tonight.
You still get some stuff, right? You still get.
Yeah.
We showed up. That's one.
There you go.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
and we have our specialty from our building. That's
exactly,
two.
That's two. at least.
Yeah.
All right, so keep track of yourselves. Did you participate in the session? Yep. Confront any Vaesen? Nah. Identify a privilege on Vaesen? Nah. Affected by your dark
Serpent?
secret?
Well, so is unknown like unknown to us or unknown?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Some new characters would have experienced the new Vaesen
That's
tonight.
actually very fair.
Yeah.
Whatever character hadn't met a ship gnome, go ahead and take XP. I would say no to the serpent because you didn't actually. You just know that a serpent
Okay.
exists. So.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
But the rest of you,
Makes
the rest of
sense.
your characters, definitely. Anyone want to make a claim that they were affected by their dark secret?
I need to rework mine because I don't think
Okay.
I'll ever run into it.
Yeah, I looked at yours. I'm like, I could definitely do it, but I feel like we're gonna go down another route like we did with Anders almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we could definitely
Yeah.
plan that. Take risks to protect other people. Caius,
Yes, I think maybe.
I
Yeah.
think so. You stopped a knife fight on a train by offering people booze, and you.
Well, Sigurd tried to help those two girls too.
Yeah.
So.
That's fair as well. So
Yeah, although
both you-
Caius actually slipped them. He got to it before I did. Slipped
Okay.
money to try to pay off their debt.
Okay. Well, Caius is getting it just for the knife fight for sure, but I'll give you that. Yeah, you can take the 1 XP. You tried to help somebody. But you hopped off the train and you also helped somebody
Mhm.
on the ground too, so that's fine. It wasn't a huge
And I
risk.
successfully sort of did a little bit of medicine stuff.
The risk of
Yeah.
humiliation, maybe. Did you develop something in your headquarters? Did you guys take that last week? last time?
Say we
Think
did.
so.
We usually
I think
we
we
do too.
before.
I think we took it at the end.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
so we will.
remember.
And then no extraordinary actions yet. But there you go. A little bit for tonight.
We found ourselves somewhere where we wish we were at the moment.
So you
Yeah,
are
man.
in Kirkbacken on the island of Hven.
Mhm.
So yeah, I
Thank
did a little.
goodness.
This I think this map was actually drawn or developed by Tycho Brahe. Actually, that's what we're using. I'm not putting it on the big screen because copyrights and stuff. But for us, like we can see it and kind of get a general idea. It's not to date. This is probably more 1600s, but the shape of the island hasn't changed too much. So
Just
there
for
you go.
us.
So it looks pretty cool.
Good enough.
All right, so we'll be back in 2 weeks, but let's get some closing plugs. So, Bert, what are you doing this week, and where's your podcast?
That would be Of Steam, Steel, and Murder. You can find it at bluemagic.com, BLUMAGIK. This week, not a lot going on. I might do some D&D tomorrow night. Just depends on who is available and who's not. Otherwise, and that'll be on the Notorious DMG.
Perfect.
But otherwise, this is going to be a pretty low week for me.
Okay. All right, right on. Chuck, Defenders.
Oh snap! What do we got? So I'll probably be, if we run D&D tomorrow night on Defenders or on Notorious DMG, I'll be there. Wednesday night, 10 p.m. Central on Defenders of Cobalt, Jeremy will be running us through some more spectaculars. And then Friday night, 9 p.m. Central on Defenders, I will be running some more basic fantasy role-playing game. And then the last thing is Saturday, we'll be continuing on the music of the spheres is chaos. I always get it.
You got it, man.
I got it.
You're
Yeah.
crushing it
Oh,
now.
There we go.
Rolls right
Yeah.
off the tongue.
It's sure. And that'll be over on Goodman Games Official, 9 p.m. Central, Saturday.
Perfect. And Jeremy, your podcast.
Yeah, Pludcast, PLEWD. We're getting something new recorded soon. We're going to be doing John Ostrander's The Spectre run. Should be fun.
All right, awesome. And then for me specifically, tomorrow night here on this channel, Free League Publishing, I'm supposed to be playing Twilight 2K, finishing the run on the prison that Matt, who runs the Free League Publishing channel, he's running for us. So you can come back and check that out, 9 Central. Melissa and I think we're going to be playing, we're trying to play some Mutant Year Zero on Saturday, so check our channel, twitch.tv/the Lollygaggers. And then next Monday on the same channel, twitch.tv/the Lollygaggers, you can come check us out playing Alien, where, new characters, new stuff. It's fun. But that's it. Thanks for those of you who hung out, watched live. Thanks for those of you who are watching later. And we'll catch you in a couple weeks with a continuation of this. So, good night, everybody.
No.
Thanks, everybody.
Goodbye.